I want to talk to you about
Transplant shock.
Thank you. Okay. Look, it's not that dramatic, but transplant shock is a gardening term for bummed out plants. Specifically during the days following a move from one container to another, growth slows to a crawl and your plants just mope around like moody teenagers faking an illness to skip school. So, given as it's propagation season for me and many other indoor gardeners in the Northern Hemisphere, I thought I'd take a couple of minutes to talk to you about what I do to avoid, or at least minimize, transplant shock. Here we go. First big tip. Get your timing right. If your seedlings or cuttings haven't totally colonized their existing space, then you're transplanting too soon and risk damaging the roots in the process. Last month, I was very happy to receive some Baxter's Bush Determinate tomato seeds from my friend Judd in Michigan. So first things first, thanks for those, buddy. As you can see, I've started them off in rapid rooters. These awesome little spongy plugs certainly help to protect these baby root systems during transplanting and provide plenty of air and moisture to the roots. I irrigated them once a day with a syringe. It's nearly 2 weeks after sowing and I can see plenty of roots poking out, so it's the ideal time to transplant into nursery pots filled with Cocotech PX, a coco coir and perlite mix. They'll stay in these for about 7 to 10 days before being transplanted again. Next tip, when transplanting from one pot to another, don't make too big a jump. Keep the upgrade fairly modest. You don't want a young plant to look lost in a massive pot. You know, your plants are ready for a transplant when you absolutely have to water them every day. You know, you turn up and the media looks lighter in color and they weigh next to nothing. I like to transplant when the root zone is fairly dry like this, as it's lighter, making the younger plants easier to handle and get out of the pot. Support the base of the plant and turn it upside down. A little squeeze or tap should do it. Be gentle, but work fast to minimize the bare root exposure time. Remember, roots don't like light, so I recommend working in low light. And yes, being the selfless individual that I am, I've kept mine on. You know, I want you to see what I'm doing. Oh yeah, another thing. Be sure to have all your new pots already prepped and ready to receive. Fill them with your chosen growing media and give them a firm tap on the floor to get rid of any large gaps. If you store your growing media out in the shed, then make sure it's not freezing cold, as this will shock your plant's roots. Bring them in a few days before to warm up to room temperature. Similarly, make sure you moisten it up thoroughly with tepid pH-adjusted nutrient solution around 66 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. You want the same strength nutrient solution as your plants are already accustomed to. Just because they're in a bigger pot doesn't mean they're going to instantly develop a bigger appetite. Young root hairs are particularly sensitive to high nitrogen levels, another major cause of transplant shock. Now, wet all the media evenly. When you see plenty coming out of the bottom of the pot, you're done. Make a nice, big hole, deep enough just so the original root ball will be totally covered. Tomatoes, eggplants, and peppers can be planted deeper, as any buried stem will produce more roots. I like to sprinkle some mycorrhizal fungi powder in the holes, guaranteeing contact with the roots upon transplanting. This will help my plants assimilate nutrients and moisture later in the life cycle. It's best to inoculate as early as you can, especially if you're growing short cycle crops that are done in 10 to 12 weeks. Now, gently place your babies into their new holes. Try not to damage the roots. Aw, easy does it, amigos. Backfill and gently press the media down around it. Don't press too hard, just enough to get them in place. Water in well. A big cause of transplant shock is not watering enough. I'm using Cocotech Grow, a specialist 2-part hydroponic nutrient solution formulated for use with coco coir. Some growers recommend elevated phosphorus to aid in root development, but I'm confident that the Grow formulation has everything my young plants need. I'm adding some seaweed extract, amino acids, and B vitamins in the form of Floralicious Grow, an awesome additive to help mitigate transplant shock. Personally, I just add this to the jug of the solution that I'm using to water my babies in, rather than adding it to the reservoir at this stage. I just like to make it go a little further. There you go, little buddy. Drink up that stress-relieving goodness. Oh yeah, just 1¼ mils per liter or a teaspoon per gallon. General Hydroponics later developed a similar product called Floralicious Plus, which is even more concentrated and can be used throughout Grow and Bloom. Please excuse the state of the bottle. I tried to clean it up, but this muck is here to stay. After watering in, if some of the growing media has washed away, add some more to cover up any bare roots. Maintain relative humidity at 60% or more. For my tomatoes, I try to keep in the mid to high 70s Fahrenheit and high 60s at night. Sometimes I spray my plants with a weak nutrient solution and a few drops of Floralicious. Compost tea also works well. As for your grow lights, turn them off for 12 to 24 hours, or at the very least raise them up or put your fresh transplants in semi-shade. I'm using a Sun System LEC 315 for propagation and veg these days, as well as my trusty 2x4 tray on a fast fit tray stand. I find this light-emitting ceramic fixture generates really healthy, vigorous, stout starts, but it's also really intense, so I need to take it easy by getting the distance right. Putting freshly transplanted plants in full sun or directly under T5s, LEDs, or HIDs is the last thing they want. I mean, think about it. After you've moved into your new house, do you want to go for a jog? No, you want to sit down, take a break, and try and work out which cardboard box the coffee machine is in. Okay, sorry, I got into my usual Everest mode there. I'll slow it back down. After a few days, you'll be able to lower your lights to normal levels again, and your plants will have seamlessly made their way through this transition with little to no pause in growth. Net pots and cocoa pots can be transplanted directly into larger pots, meaning you don't have to disturb the roots. Fabric pots like GrowPro are also awesome because plants need fewer transplants. Okay, that'll do. Questions and comments down below. If you have transplant shock mitigation strategies that I failed to mention, well, share them. And if you want to know more about B vitamins, amino acids, or seaweed extracts and what they do, then let me know too, and we can delve deeper together. Bye for now, amigos. This is Everest, out.